welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Welcome back in. Here we are. My voice might sound a little used. I've mentioned this before, especially on LinkedIn logs. Sometimes I record audiobooks for money. I'm making it sound as dirty as it does sound because the books that I do record for audio, it's for Audible, and it's through their platform. And they're gay werewolf books. They're gay werewolf books, and that's what I do. It's like, it's gay for pay, baby, except I'm not boinking nobody and nobody's boinking me. Because I'm a big guy and I'm in ice and I carry a lot of guns. Episode 366, this is what it is. To be in ice, you have to be the biggest fucking tool in the world. You have to be the biggest tool. And then to be in ice and then to not even be able to do the fitness tests that they have is like 15 push-ups, 32 sit-ups, run a mile and a half, all in 14 minutes. And you can't even do that, but you're still passing? Oh my goodness. What a bunch of jackasses. What a bunch of moronic, just idiots and then they're cowards who hide their little faces. I'm going to kill somebody, but I don't want nobody to know who I am because I'm a big boy. These jerk-offs. And then these are like the same guys. I've been thinking about a lot about this lately. And I think I've spoken about it, but let's say starting, well, I wouldn't even say in the pandemic. But over the course of the past 8 years, this has happened to me twice, where I would go out with a young lady, and a lady who was my age. I don't want to say that. And I'll go out with somebody who's my age, a young one who's my age, and we have a nice time. We go on like 1 or 2 dates, and then again, this happened twice. They would say like, oh, I'm gonna start seeing this other person. And then we lose contact. And we just never talk again. And then they'd be going out with that person for years. And then they come back to me with an apology saying, again, this happened twice. This, hey, I'm sorry that, for such and such, the guy I was with, he was so MAGA and I didn't know. It happened once and I was like, oh, okay, this is great. And then she's like, I'm moving back to wherever I'm from. And then the second time it happened, I went, am I the fucking problem? Yeah, like these women would just rather date MAGA guys for years? Anyway, episode 366. What's been going on this week? Well, I'm in the middle of a 100-day yoga challenge, and when I started this year, I said I usually every year in January I usually do a 31. Excuse me, I forget how many days are in yoga. How many days are in yoga? I usually do a 31-day thing in January. It's like when people stop drinking and they keep talking about it, but I am not. Oh God, let's mute that. But I'm not a jerk about it. But it's yoga, and then I'm now extending that to 100 days just to see if I can do it. I mean, I know I can. There are moments, and thankfully, I have access to. There's some YouTube channels I follow. Was one, and then there's then Peloton, and TRX and Soul. I would never pay for the Soul app, mostly because they haven't updated in a year. They have not put new classes on there in a year, but they updated the app a couple of weeks ago, like with new elements and everything. It was just so strange to me. The Soul, SOLE, I have the treadmill. The people that I bought the treadmill from never registered it. So if you register your Soul device or your Soul equipment with Soul, you have free access to the app, which is great. The classes are fine. The audio was horrible. The video was bad. The audio was horrible. The audio is, imagine taking a Peloton class, but instead of hearing the music in your speakers, you're hearing the music in their speakers. That's what it is. And then also, they're too close. Like their mics are just horribly managed and everything. Like this show sounds better than every single Soul class. Also, one of the yoga teachers that's at Peloton now was with Soul previously. And still not good then. Oh, man. Okay. What else has been going on? I'm still playing Star Wars Outer World. I'm also watching Star Trek. What is the show? Starfleet Academy. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. I couldn't even remember what that show was called. I also try to stay out of the reviews, and I know I mentioned this last week, but man, these people watching, not like just rating the show down. It's crazy. What else have I been doing? Because I've not been playing a lot of video games because I'm just extremely tired from work. Hijack started. There's a new season of Shrinking. Oh, I watched the first episode of the Mel Brooks 99-Year-Old Man documentary. I'm on my IMDb. And you know what? It's from Judd Apatow, who I have mixed reservations on. Don't get me started. I do like Judd, but I have reservations about his work. So, namely that, and I'm just not gonna be. I don't want to be snippy about it, but mainly he works with white men. That's it. Just the same white men, same types, over and over and over again. The doc's very good. It reminds me, after watching the Stiller and Mira doc on Apple TV that Ben Stiller did about his parents, it's very reminiscent of that. Now, the first episode, you learn a lot about Mel's early life and everything, and why he wanted to do what he does, and just how he got into comedy and everything, and truly, and I hate to be a douchey person, but that drive that he had, that's great. Like, that's amazing. And then how Ann Mira stayed with him, when they were early on, when he was nobody, when he was, Anne Bancroft, excuse me. Whew, I mixed up Anne's name with Mira's name. Anyway, from Ben Stiller. Anyway, but Anne Bancroft, his second wife, really stuck with him. And then it also just got me wanting to rewatch Mel Brooks movies. Like Blazing Saddles. I have Blazing Saddles, and it's so funny. Oh, I love Blazing Saddles so much. I think it's such a great movie. And I still think it works today. It does. Oh, also I just watched this, I believe, Indian movie. It's called Kill. I watched it when I was, over the course of 2 days, working out. It's a excellent action movie, and it's very bloody. It's very boring for 20 or 30 minutes, and then it just gets going. Did I talk about The Rip already? And I also watched Wick is Pain, which is a documentary. That's it. That's all that's going on for me. That and work. Okay, let's get into some news. God, I'm sick of every website talking about cookies, but they have to now. This comes from GameSpot. Amazon Game Studios has lost its studio head, written by Haley Williams. Not that one you're thinking of. I'm sure she gets it all the time. Just like the comedian I interviewed, Chris Morton. Oh, speaking of interviews, previously an episode behind on this very podcast feed is an interview I had with Candice Guardino. Don't know how to pronounce it. I was getting pet food. There's a little side to this. I was getting pet food for Maverick with Maverick, and we were going to get the pet food. And as I was thinking on the jaunt there, if it was Gardino, it'd be Gaurdino, but it's Gua. So it's either Gardino or Guardino. And in the intro for the interview, I kept saying Guardino. And then as I was cutting, and the intro was recorded 2 weeks ago, along with the interview. And then as I was cutting the video this week, I went, I don't know if it's Guardino. Check it out. Check out the video version on youtube.com/sleeplesscomedy. She's a delight. And as of the release of this, Italian Bread is out. You can go buy it wherever you get your specials. Back to Amazon Game Studios has lost a studio head. Christoph Hartmann is parting ways with the company amidst layoffs that have cut around 16,000 jobs across Amazon. The move comes as Amazon winds down its gaming ambitions, shifting focus to its cloud gaming service, Luna. Now, if you remember Amazon Luna, that was a service that was launched a couple of years ago to kind of be, if you know what NVIDIA GeForce Now is, and now Xbox xCloud, still in beta. It's not the unofficial. That's the unofficial name. I apologize for Maverick. But it's a cloud gaming service where you can purchase what is essentially a license to play a game, so you can own the game there. You can also, I think, rent games or try games or play games that you own as well. I'm not going to look it up. On GeForce Now, that one connects to your libraries like Steam, Epic, although I've never been able to get an Epic game to launch, period. And so there's a multitude of ways to play games. There was a point where Amazon was creating games, much like Netflix, and they're all learning. Every single one of these companies is learning. It costs a lot of money to make video games. Oh, according to the Wikipedia, Amazon Games is shut down, period. So here are some of the games that this is, again, on Wikipedia. So here are some of the games that they've made. Airport Mania. Is that the game that I'm, yes, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Airport Mania, Crucible. There's a Land Tour game, the Grand Tour game. Jesus. I guess they did a Dragon's Lair, a version of Dragon's Lair. Oh yeah, you can see these are already grayed out because I clicked on them. The Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis that released I remember that, and Tomb Raider Catalyst. Those are brand new games because I believe they own Crystal Dynamics. Okay. This is no surprise. Again, as I stated, Netflix, Amazon, they're learning that, along with companies like 2K that have been around forever and Warner Brothers games, there's with creating and building games, it takes a lot of money and time, and you're not going to, unless you create a gacha game or a loot box game, or a freemium game, a free game with premium assets and all that jazz. That's the only way you're going to make money back in the interim. Now, this is a part of Amazon's massive round of layoffs. There was another round of layoffs previously in October that had 14,000 jobs cut, also hitting Amazon Game Studios, which is why they are scaling back their AAA development projects. But, with that, they just announced Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis, which is a remake of the first game, and then Tomb Raider Catalyst, which is okay. a fourth main entry in the Tomb Raider series. So it takes place after Tomb Raider Underworld from 2008. But it does not have Camilla Luddington's Tomb Raider. Great. Those last three Tomb Raider games are fantastic. Although that first one I had an issue with because I could never beat the final boss. Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Those are just like, just amazing. Just amazing. Go play those. Making games is hard. The first major project was Crucible. It was a notable failure, making the unusual decision to move from full launch back into closed beta before being canceled for good. They also published Korean MMOs Lost Ark and Throne and Liberty in the West, as well as its own project New World. Player numbers have dwindled over the years, and New World will be shut down for good at the end of January 2027. There was a planned Lord of the Rings MMO, Amazon's second attempt at one. Also, it appears to be dead in the water after October's layoffs. So with the publishing of Legacy of Atlantis and Catalyst over the next course of a year, I wonder if that means they're doing the Sophie Turner rebooted series or a new series of Tomb Raider. So I wonder, Sophie Turner led. So I wonder if they will just allow other game studios to produce their own. Kind of like how does Sony produce? Insomniac develops the Spider-Man games, but Sony produces. So I wonder if they will do something like that. Where they'll have Amazon Game Studios, or Amazon, I guess the title, the name, since Game Studios appears to be shut down, as like the figurehead, whereas Sony owns Spider-Man. Or at least the Spider-Man license to create games and movies and TV shows and all that stuff. And they'll pass on the actual developing to other companies like EA or something. I don't know. That's a lot of this show is I don't know. This next one comes from Engadget, written by Will Shanklin. Patreon creators have to switch to subscription billing by November, thanks to Apple. If you don't know, Apple and Google, and I don't know about Amazon. Be quiet. All of them triggered. Apple and Google have, when you want to make an app on their store, you have to pay in order to publish it. And then if you have in-app payments, then you have to give some of that money to Apple and Google. That's why Epic did not want to put the Epic Game Store on the Play Store and the App Store because they didn't want to give any of that money to those companies. Patreon skirted originally around this this forcing of pay, but now they have to deal with it. On Wednesday, Patreon said Apple has renewed its requirement that all Patreon creators must move to subscription billing. The deadline to do so is November 1st, 2026. They put out a blog post, Patreon, where they said they have no other choice. We strongly disagree with this decision. Creators need consistency and clarity in order to build healthy long-term businesses. Instead, creators using legacy billing will now have to endure the whiplash of another policy reversal, the third such change from Apple in the past 18 months. Your existing member. I'm on the blog post now. Your existing members will continue to be billed on the first of each month. These changes only affect new members. U.S. fans are still able to bypass Apple's fees on iOS. I like that they're willing to help. Up to this point, Patreon's billing model has operated in a gray area, allowing its creators to charge fans outside the app without paying Apple's fees. When this issue was first addressed, TechCrunch described it as stemming from how paid content was accessed. Only some creators offered content that could be consumed in-app, i.e. podcasts or videos that are uploaded directly to Patreon. On Wednesday, a Patreon representative described the gray area as being, quote, because Apple's in-app purchase system doesn't support some of Patreon's long-standing billing models. Maverick, lay down, buddy. Lay down. Now Apple's reimposed that subscription mandate, eliminating the gray area. The mandate was first announced in 2024, so it makes sense that Patreon says the word whiplash, as pointed out here in Engadget. Excuse me, not Engadget. Will Shanklin's article on Engadget. Only 4% of Patreon creators are using the affected legacy billing models, and fans can still bypass Apple fees on iOS by joining via their iPhone's web browser. There was a big change when it came to the European Union ruling regarding some of Apple's practices, i.e., the App Store thing. And like sideloading, being able to do a new app store in the EU, as well as the USB-C thing. This walled garden that Apple has created has become a stale bit of a thorn in their side, and for Android phones, Google, Samsung, Android, for Android phones, for the Android ecosystem. It is less of a hindrance because you can go sideload pretty much anything. You can go to a GitHub and download whatever, as long as someone has built the app version of that. And Apple will say this is for your own good, so that you know what's going on your phone, and we know this and everything. But Patreon Patreon would pass the money problem over to the user, which means that if you paid $5,000 for a Patreon, if you subscribe every month $5 for a Patreon, and Patreon wanted more money, then the creators of that Patreon that you subscribe to would probably charge more money. Like, let's say people are paying 11%. And Patreon their Patreon is bringing in $1,000 per month. Well, they don't want to lose out on that more percentage that they lose. They want more money, even if that comes at the cost of you. So it's unfortunate that Apple wants to continue doing their Apple tax, but this is just how it's going to have to go. Now, Patreon's other option could be to remove the Patreon app entirely, and then tell everybody who are Apple users to go and subscribe to Patreon, to whatever Patreon they are or whatever, to use Patreon via the via the browsers. So you can go to Chrome or Safari or Firefox or DuckDuckGo if you're an idiot, and use Patreon there. But it's less of a convenience because an app could just have everything, whereas the website doesn't look as nice, I'm guessing, for some people. Oh my friggin' God. I'm going to be so pissed if this... Okay. This is what's pissing me off. Sometimes I post things... Sometimes I post things from my phone into the Notion, and it does not work. Like into the Notion page that has all the notes for, whatever podcast. And sometimes it does not work, and this is one of those moments. But I found it. I found the article. I don't know if you heard that, but it's just a big truck ran over a speed bump outside. This next one comes from The Athletic. How a wearable caused an Australian Open debate over tennis players' data, written by Charlie Eccleshare. I can really feel my voice is very raw. We're in the middle of the Australian Open. We're in the middle of the Australian Open, and I spoke about it last week about how ESPN is really just messing it up when it comes to people being able to view it. And it is like I shouldn't. What was I doing? Oh, this morning I was cycling. I got home from the gym, and I'm on the bike, and I just didn't even remember that the good Lord, I didn't even remember that the tennis matches, the final couple of tennis matches, were playing at 7:00 in the morning. I would have been watching, and not watching is seeing my four-shot of CNN, ABC, CBS, and NBC. Speaking of which, YouTube TV last week, I guess the week before, and I think I mentioned this, I don't remember, I don't care, started rolling out a multi-view for every channel. So at one point last weekend, I believe, or the weekend before that, I was able to watch for a split second football and The Simpsons on FXX. And then it stopped working, like within minutes of that happening. And then I have not been able to access anything since, besides the regular multi-view. I'm pissed. Let me be able to watch that. Let me be able to. All right. Now, at the Australian Open, I believe it was Carlos Alcaraz got in trouble for wearing a Whoop band. Apparently, Aryna Sabalenka did too. Oh, she's so beautiful. Every time I see Aryna Sabalenka, I'm just like, oh, just so beautiful. Give me a tall European, muscly European woman. Oof. Now the Whoop bands, I think Whoop is probably one of the most popular. I would say the most popular fitness tracking company, because Fitbit is not, ever since Google bought that, it's not doing hot. And then obviously people have Apple Watches, and I wear Garmin. Yannick Sinner got in trouble. He was asked to remove his Whoop band too. Okay. The devices are allowed at WTA and ATP level, and the Whoop device worn by Sabalenka and Alcaraz was permitted by the International Tennis Federation, the organization whose rulebook the majors follow, according to a report filed December 19th, but the four tournaments do not individually permit them. Right now, according to a Tennis Australia spokesperson, wearables are currently not permitted at Grand Slams. They're doing discussions about when they're going to be permitted, or if they're going to be permitted. Representative from Whoop, which also includes Cristiano Ronaldo, LeBron James, and Rory McIlroy among its users, said via email, Whoop believes athletes have a fundamental right to understand their own performance and health, including during competition at events like the Australian Open. I am somebody who, with my Garmin and with Strava, and I guess Peloton, but with Garmin and Strava, I am on top of that data. In particular, Garmin, I rename things. If they're classified under the wrong thing, I classify them under the right thing. Also, if I did a Pilates class under Peloton and it uploads to Strava, for the past year and a half, I've been doing Pilates on Peloton. It's been uploading to cardio as opposed to my watch, which uploads it to Strava as Pilates. So now I have to go back. I've already done this. I had to go back and change Pilates to that. I had to change a lot of stuff on Strava. It was messy. The reason why I was wearing that on the court is because we received the email that we got approval from the ITF to wear this device. Sabalenka, who's an ambassador for Whoop, said in a news conference Tuesday after beating Iva Jokic to reach the semifinals. I didn't know that Grand Slams didn't come to this conclusion. Sinner said he was fine with the ban, but added in a news conference Monday that there is certain data that we would like to track a little bit on the court. It's not for the live thing. It's more about what you can see after the match. These are data that we would like to use also in practice sessions. And it's very important for every athlete to know what's happening. When is the heart rate spike? What happens to the pulse ox? How many steps did they take? Are they wasting steps? That's a real thing. People have criticized the major stance on this. This data is their data, and they should allow it. The NFL allows some wearables and RFID tracking, according to this quote. I'll find a person. The NBA operates a formal wearables committee with full player access to their data. MLB rigorously vets devices, and global soccer leagues have multiple approved systems in place. Tennis should meet that standard. That came from the Professional Tennis Players Association medical director, Dr. Robbie Sicca. I want people to be able to look at what is making them better or worse on the court, on the field, on the pitch. That's pretty much it. I'm reading through the rest of it. That's pretty much it. All right, this next one comes from NPR, and it's written by Nita Ulaby. Philadelphia, Clueless, The Karate Kid added to the National Film Registry. Every year, I believe, the Library of Congress announces new additions to the National Film Registry. These are films that are important. They're classics. They highlight film preservation efforts and the depth and breadth of American film. That was beautiful, Nita. Nita? Movies including White Christmas and High Society, Glory, Philadelphia, they make up this registry. It started in 1988. It adds 25 films every year. New editions are usually announced in December of each calendar year. The Library of Congress did not explain why its 2025 films were announced in 2026. Half a dozen silent films were added to the registry, more than usual. Many of them were recently discovered or restored. I wonder what that's like to be restoring a movie, or to even just find one. Find those old episodes of Doctor Who that were just never recorded because they never thought they'd get those far. Or they're just gone. It's lost media. There's also Before Sunrise. Oh, The Big Chill. Wow. The Truman Show, The Incredibles, Frida, The Grand Budapest Hotel. Wow. All right. Good for them. Brooklyn Bridge. The Thing, 1982's Thing. In 40 years, the remake of The Thing is added. All right, that's a good set of movies. Also, the 1896 movie, The Tramp and the Dog. I didn't know the movies existed in the 1800s, in the late 1800s. Oh, here's the full movie. Oh, you can watch it on Wikipedia. That's crazy. Oh, The Tramp and the Dog. All right. I don't know who would sit there and watch that. Good for them. All right, and finally, this comes from the New York Times. Public media holds its apocalypse at bay for now. Written by Benjamin Mullen. Public media shuttered, I believe, and what was it? Hold on. What was the company that Corporation for Public Broadcasting is now gone? They shuttered the main offices, and after Congress slashed $500 million in funding for public media. And we saw a lot of NPR and PBS and just tiny just radio stations across the nation go through layoffs, experience closures, or as we'll find out in this piece here written by Benjamin, they experienced a boon in donations, which is wonderful. A boon, an increase in donations. There's a game, I don't remember what the game is called, but it starred like a blonde girl, and then her friend was like a jester who had a talking stick. It wasn't a stick. It was a talking like puppet thing, but it was on a stick. It was a puppet head on a stick, and its mouth moved, and he looked just like the jester. And I only had the demo for this game, so I played the demo 100,000 times. And there's a joke in that game where I guess the two of them are looking to make a wish. The three of them, I guess. The three of them are looking to make a wish, and then they say something about a boon, and then the jester goes, "What the heck's a boon?" And then the puppet goes, "A wish, you idiot." I don't know. I'm Googling it right now. I don't know. It was a PlayStation 1 game. It was a PlayStation 1 game, and I just don't know what the game is. There was a game. Oh, hold on. PS1 game with a jester. And they jumped on watermelons. And jumping on watermelons. This is fun. Pandemonium! That's what it was. Yes! Pandemonium. Oh my gosh. Speaking of Crystal Dynamics, because they produced the Tomb Raider games. Oh man. Pandemonium. Again, I never played that game. I only played the demo. And that was 1996. I still have that PlayStation. I have every console that I've ever owned. Not my Game Boy Colors. I was given, this is a very true story, when we graduated from high school and we were having all these graduation parties. I have a friend named Blaze, and he gave everybody hats to their colleges. And for me, instead of giving me a hat, he gave me his old Game Boy Color with Pokemon Blue in it. And to say that I almost cried in front of my friend Blaze is an understatement. I was like, thank you, Blaze. I remember I was getting choked up and everything. I still have that Game Boy, and the game Pokemon Blue. I also have a Game Boy Advance, a purple Game Boy Advance somewhere. I have the GameCube, and obviously my new consoles. I'm trying to think of the old consoles. I don't think because all we had was before the PlayStation 1 was like an Atari 2600. We had Atari 2600 and then a PS1 and then a GameCube and then nothing. Well, besides the GameCube. Oh, and then I had a Wii, and I bought a Wii, and I bought a Wii U. And then no, my mom bought the Wii, and then I traded that in for a Wii U whenever the Wii U was a big thing because I saw the GameCube. And then I traded in the Wii U to get the Switch. And that's it. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so anyway, there were some stations that did see an uptick in donations. According to one estimate, though, 78 public radio stations and 37 TV stations were at risk of going dark as a result of cuts. The big fear was that a lot of these would be in rural places, obviously, as well as nations with Native Americans. Nations, I guess, areas with Native Americans, mostly Native Americans and everything. But typically people who don't have, areas that don't have a lot of access to local news, or actually really any access to local news. The rescue seemed to work, and the basically the dissolution of Corporation for Public Broadcasting seemed to help. These are short-term fixes, though. They're not something that these stations can rely on, because people don't have infinite money, as we see by the the rate cuts and all that stuff, and people, just really relying on thrifting instead of buying new clothes, things like that. People not being able to buy full groceries and everything. But we're glad listeners have been able to just give a lot of money. Native American tribal stations. That's what I was getting at. Some stations have been able to fill in an $11 million gap with a mix of fundraising, emergency grants, and other revenue. But again, this is not something that can be relied on completely and forever. I don't know what could be done. I wish we had an answer, but the government doesn't really seem to care. All right, listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website cpluscomedy.com, where we've got interviews with your favorite comedians, new and old. It's not an age thing, new and old. Favorite comedians, what else? If you want to watch a video version of those interviews, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can also see a video version of this show, as well as a video version of the other podcasts, LinkedIn Logs, the Jobs Podcast, and Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show. Follow us on social media. Go to cpluscomedy.com for everything. Follow us on social media at cpluscomedy, on Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Follow me on those platforms at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. I mistimed when I started the theme song, but now I'm timing it right. I'm going to say goodbye again here. Bye.